Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. My name is Amy. Welcome to my show. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Today, Jennifer and James Crumbley appeared in court for another pretrial hearing. They are charged each with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter in connection with their son, Ethan Crumbley, who is the accused Oxford High School shooter. On November 30th, 2021, Ethan took a handgun to school that his parents had bought him and shot 4 students and injured others as well. Today, Jennifer and James had another one of their pretrial hearings, of course. Their lawyers have filed several pretrial motions. And I actually want to start, though, with the prosecution and just my personal opinion and observation of some things that bothers me that the prosecution has done. I have spoken on these topics before, but I would like to reiterate these issues. First of all, the prosecution filed a motion which the judge granted not to use Ethan Crumbley's name. He is being referred to as the shooter, as they called him actually in this morning's pretrial motions for his parents, Jennifer and James. The reason the prosecution did this, she claims, is because Ethan sought fame from this shooting, from committing the shooting. And he wanted to be, infamous like Jeffrey Dahmer, Charlie Manson, the Columbine high school shooters. He wanted to go down in history with this fame. And so the prosecution decided that she didn't want to give him that satisfaction. So she filed a motion with the judge to not have Ethan's name used in court. Now, I have stated my opinion on this, and, this is not the case to make some sort of political statement. The prosecution should not be using a case of this nature to, make some sort of a political statement or political correctness or, whatever it is that she, wants to achieve by doing this. Because it just depersonalizes the whole thing. These were real students. These were real kids with names. Ethan is a real kid with a name, Ethan Crumbley. His name is not the shooter. Ethan Crumbley committed these crimes. Ethan Crumbley shot these 4 students at Oxford High School, not the shooter. So it just depersonalizes the whole situation, and why she would not want to, it just feels like she's not holding him accountable for these crimes. Ethan Crumbley needs to be held accountable for these 4 murders, not the shooter. I mean, she might as well be calling him John Doe. It's, I just don't agree with her, wanting to, do this, for, just because she doesn't want to, give this kid his 15 minutes of fame, which is what he wanted. It's, I don't think this is something for her to decide. And, if I were the parent of one of these students, I would not be okay with it. Another problem that I have with the prosecution, and this was discussed in this morning's pretrial hearing. Ethan's trial has been moved to January, but the prosecution is aiming for a trial for Jennifer and James Crumbley for October 24th. And she was very adamant with the judge this morning that she wants to try the parents before Ethan. Now, this is what we in the South call putting the cart before the horse. And I'll refer to a case that I won't call by name, but I have personal knowledge, firsthand knowledge of this case. This was a case involving a friend of mine. And they were charged with accessory to a crime. And they tried my friend first before they tried the person that actually committed the crime. Now, how can you be an accessory to a crime that has not yet been determined guilt or innocence? How can you say so-and-so helped so-and-so commit a crime, but the person that actually committed the crime has not been found guilty? So how can someone be charged with accessory to a crime before it's even been determined that a crime was committed? That makes no sense. And that is similar to the situation with Jennifer and James Crumbley, Ethan's parents. They are being charged with 4 counts each of involuntary manslaughter for the death of these 4 Oxford High School students because they bought Ethan the gun. They knew that Ethan was mentally disturbed. there's plenty of evidence to show, in my opinion, that these parents neglected what was going on with their son. And they bought him this gun. They bought a mentally unstable 15-year-old a 9mm handgun. What part of that do they think that they should not be held accountable for what they did? And that they should not be held accountable for their son reaching out to them, telling them that he needed help, telling them that he was hearing voices and that he was having these mental issues, and he was asking them for help. And they just, out of Ethan's own mouth, he says his dad just gave him some pills and told him to suck it up. They went to the school the morning of the shooting. They were called into the principal's office to be shown and discuss a drawing that Ethan had made. And they just didn't have time to deal with it. So, I don't understand why this prosecutor is so adamant about trying them before Ethan, because technically, even though, we know that Ethan committed these crimes, he has not yet been proven guilty in a court of law. He is innocent until proven guilty, according to the law. Therefore, how can you find his parents guilty of basically being negligent and a semi sort of accessory to these crimes before you have determined that Ethan is guilty of these crimes? I just don't understand the prosecution's way of thinking. Some of the pretrial motions that were filed that the judge has ruled on, they were trying to get a change of venue, and the judge denied it. She is going to try it in Oakland County. She is not going to allow the trial to be moved out of Oakland County. And she made it clear to the prosecution and the defense this morning that they needed to start coming up with questions that they wanted to ask potential jurors. When you're called for jury duty, you normally have to fill out a questionnaire. And so she told them, be thinking about what you want to ask potential jurors. So she has no intentions of changing the venue. She also ruled that there is to be no mention of Jennifer's affair that she was having before the shooting occurred, and that there is not to be any mention of their messy house. that, these things are more prejudicial than probative to this case. And so, but, they're trying to get everything thrown out. I mean, they're trying to get Ethan's journal thrown out. They're trying to get text messages. There's a lot of stuff that they're trying to get thrown out, and it's stuff that is actual evidence against them. It is actual evidence that proves, they knew that there were issues beforehand. And this could have been preventable. Ethan asked them for help. He told them he was having delusional thoughts and hearing voices and thought someone was in the house and things like that. There was also talk about whether or not this dead bird in the jar could be mentioned in Jennifer and James Crumbley's trial. I think I understood the prosecution to say that there's some kind of evidence, maybe in a text message or a video or something. So I don't know if he never came right out and said that these parents had knowledge that their son was keeping a dead bird in a jar in his closet. I'm sorry, a dead bird's head or whatever it was. So, I don't know, if they knew or not. I don't know, how much bearing it has on the case against Jennifer and James Crumbley, or, how much, if it's something that would, make or break the case or whatever. But they also brought up the Nazi coin that was found in Ethan's bedroom, I believe. I don't think that this Nazi coin has any bearing on this case. And I mean that with no disrespect whatsoever to anyone. But there, whether or not Ethan was a Nazi sympathizer or Jennifer and James were Nazi sympathizers for that matter, it don't have any bearing on this case, in my opinion. It would just, I mean, I would have to say that is prejudicial, in, that, nothing about Nazis or Jews or the Holocaust or Adolf Hitler or anything like that has anything to do with this 15-year-old boy and these negligent parents shooting 4 innocent kids. And it's all also, now this has not been brought up in any pretrial motions or anything, but it has been talked about amongst the court of public opinion and in the media, that they were Trump supporters. And, unfortunately, if someone says they're a Trump supporter, that is prejudicial in the eyes of the, media and the public and, the people that believe that being a Trump supporter is a, horrible thing and a horrible crime, and that Donald Trump is a horrible person, and that you're a horrible person if you voted for him. Just because Trump is a Republican, and Republican, is associated with the NRA, we have the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms in this country, and it doesn't stipulate whether you have to be a Republican or a Democrat. So, it's nothing but political, prejudicial, propaganda is exactly what it is. And apparently, surprise, surprise, we've all wondered about whether or not Ethan himself would testify in his parents' trial. And the defense told in court today that they do intend to call Ethan as a witness for the defense. And the prosecution is dead set against that. Apparently, they don't want Ethan to testify for either side in this case against his parents. And my only guess is that they are afraid that that the defense will somehow manipulate the situation to, I guess more or less get Ethan to, say in not so many words, and not in this exact wording, but, I'm responsible for these murders. My parents are not responsible for these murders. But, in my opinion, I think that it would work to the prosecution's side, because, this evidence that they want to get in from the journals and Ethan telling his friend in text messages and whatnot and writing in his journal, my mom laughed at me when I asked her if I needed, or told her I needed help, or Dad gave me some pills and told me to suck it up. And, I tried to talk to my parents and tell them I needed help, and they just ignored me. And, I'm a little confused as to why, the prosecution, wouldn't think that would work in their favor. But I'm also wondering if they don't want Ethan to be part of the trial against his parents, in that they don't want the jury to focus on him and focus on the fact that he is the shooter, and not hold his parents accountable, for their part in it, and hold his parents accountable, for buying him the gun and for ignoring him asking for help. I don't know. People have different ways of thinking, and I guess my way of thinking is just different from this prosecutor. I don't think it really matters that she has a law degree and I don't. To, just see the common sense in all of it. But, I see it as just common sense. So, another thing that the judge ruled on today was not wanting the prosecution to talk to the media or put out things on the internet about this case. And the prosecution explained to the judge that, on behalf of the state, on behalf of the victims of this tragedy, that, he feels that he has a duty to protect the victims, in this case. And apparently there was a news media outlet that put out a news article that stated that Ethan was found incompetent to stand trial. And that's not true. He has not been found incompetent to stand trial. But, fake news and, people putting out misinformation and stuff. And the victims, there were victims in this case, families that saw it, and, and they're contacting the prosecution going, what in the hell's going on? And, prosecutor said he contacted one news media outlet and told them that this was absolutely not true. And the article, I guess, was retracted and taken down. But not before victims, families in this whole scenario saw this. And, were affected by it. And upset and confused and, everything else. So, but the judge told the prosecutor that it was not his place to police the internet, and it was not his place to police the media. So, whatever. But they are refrained from discussing, the case in the media and internet, and basically the judge put a gag order on the prosecution. So, this is just, as I've said before, this is new territory. This is the first time we're seeing parents be arrested and taken to court for what their kid did, and for the courts to, hold the parents responsible for what their kid did. This is the first time we've seen this. So, this will be kind of a landmark case. So, But anyway, that's all I have to report on involving Jennifer and James Crumbley and the Ethan Crumbley Oxford High School shooting. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this whole matter? Let me know. Everyone, have a wonderful day, and please remember, be the change that you wish to see in this world. As Michael Jackson said, it starts with the man in the mirror. Peace out, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye.
Hey y'all, this is Ella Mae from the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. If you love all things true crime, then please hit the subscribe button down below and don't forget to hit that notification bell. And please give us a thumbs up because you're all invited back next week to this locality to have a heaping helping of our hospitality. True crime, that is. Set a spell. Take your shoes off. Y'all come back now. You hear?